what is academic gap and how to declare it to avoid a UK study visa refusal. So that is what we'll be talking about today. So in most cases, we've seen a lot of students who felt that they were being invited for an interview by the Home Office because they got an academic gap which was not properly explained during their visa application process. So particularly, what is academic gap? An academic gap is just a period that exists in between two qualifications. Like when you completed a particular program, the time frame in between that to starting another one is what we call academic gap. So having an academic gap is not a crime. It is not a yardstick for a visa refusal, whether you've applied to the UK or you are seeking admission into any school. But not properly declaring it could be an issue, in most cases leading to refusal. Because the Home Office is not just ready to grant visa, except they are certainly sure that you are a genuine student who have academic progression. So if you have abandoned school for some certain number of years, then it is obligatory for you to explain the reason why that gap exists, and then why do you think this time around it is necessary for you to continue your study. So many of us have multiple academic gaps. Like in between our WAEC to when you got admission into the university, there exists a gap. Probably you got your WAEC in year 2000 and you got admission into the university in year 2003. So that's a gap of about 2 years existing in between before you commence at university. And some again, after the university, they've graduated and gone for NYC, and it's been like 5 years they've not been to school. That's another academic gap. There are several reasons why students who intend to study in the UK will have an academic gap. But the Home Office is not going to assume. So all they want to do is you giving proper explanation on why that gap exists, and then the reason why you think you are just right to commence another academic journey right now. So how should you explain your academic gap if that exists? That's what we're going to talk about today. Some people overlook some certain number of years because they are very short, maybe 2 years or even 1 year. They felt that okay, this is not necessary, or it has been long. Maybe that was when I completed my WAEC before I secured admission into the university. They will not declare. So if you are someone who has been overlooking this academic gap, then it's going to be a serious issue going forward because the Home Office is becoming stricter in terms of visa review and everything, and you definitely leave no stone untouched. So how do you probably declare your academic gap during your visa application? So on your CV, of course, that is where to start. You need to ensure that every single academic gap you got from your profile is properly explained and expressed on your CV. So what were you doing? Were you working during that period? Were you learning something? Were you doing business or whatever activity you might have engaged yourself with during that gap must be properly explained during while you were drafting your CV. So during your application, of course, that's why we have that column, we have that box where you are made to explain this. If you cannot give proper explanation on that box, of course, you can submit your visa application with letter of explanation. So letter of explanation is able to tell them your academic history, the gap that exists in between your professional history, and your personal statement in between, because why you think you want to study in the UK right now and why now, even though you got some gap in the past. So you can use your application form to explain your academic gap, to tell them what you were doing during this period, how actively you've been engaged with some other things apart from studying during that period in your visa application form. And if you don't want to use that, or you felt it's too short or might not give you enough space to explain, you could attach with your visa application a letter of explanation. The letter of explanation is going to give justification why you chose the United Kingdom, what happened during the gap, and what were you doing, what skills do you learn, even though you're not actively studying in the school. But if you are doing internship, probably you were working, probably you, even if it's based on illness, unable to attend an academic program at that moment, or some other things. So you definitely need to give proper account of what you were doing with your time, why you were not studying. So if you are drafting a letter of explanation to support your visa application, so you need to state this clearly on that. And then you should be able to interlink why you chose to study in the United Kingdom now to kind of your academic progression. Like, okay, even though I've been out of school for some years, and then I think there is highly need of me to continue my study, and it has to be in the UK because these certain things align with your professional aspiration as of this time. So what will happen if you did not properly explain your gap? Majorly, your application will be delayed, then you might be scheduled for an interview, of course. So what the interview means is the fact that whosoever that's going on the interview wants to know what were you doing during this time, and at the end of the day, why do you want to come to the UK, and some certain questions that will follow, all to extract the fact that are you a genuine student or not. So in order to avoid unnecessary interview invitation, delaying your visa applications and everything, you just got to do all you need to do the right time before you submit your visa application. So I believe you will look into your academic gap today before you submit application, whether to the school or to the home office. And I wish you all the best.